I'm Dylan Ziegler of the UPA Aquila, and today we have Executive Director David Porter here on more information about the school's closure that was announced around 12 p.m. today on March 13th.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Porter. I'm the Executive Director of University Preparatory Academy today, and I have a few announcements, and then I'll take questions from the audience. At 11:30 a.m. this morning, the Santa Clara County Office of Education, in conjunction with the County Office of Health, met and had decided to close all Santa Clara schools within the Santa Clara County. That includes everything from as north of Palo Alto all the way down through Morgan Hill. The decision was based on the preponderance of evidence dealing with the recent outbreak of the COVID-19 infection crisis. Currently in Santa Clara County, there were 73 confirmed cases, and with the limited number of testing, it was decided that it would be safer to create what's called a safe distance and to close all public schools. University Preparatory Academy, being a public school, is purview to those same rules. In the past 2 weeks, UPA specifically has been working with the staff to keep them abreast of all of the current information and to prepare for the potential eventuality that we would close. That decision in preparation and the amount of work that the staff has put into that has made today's decision a lot easier. And what we are expecting is that students will be able to continue their learning, and the expectation is that students will continue to grow and prepare for meeting our mission of preparing students for college and career. Teachers will be providing work through PowerSchool on a daily basis. All work will be presented by 8 a.m. On PowerSchool, and there will be assignments due every day by 4 p.m. While we're not able to follow the same exact schedule, students are expected to spend the same amount of time that they would normally in class, but at home. Over the next few days, we will be working on several different interface systems to allow for live streaming or to provide a more classic classroom experience where teachers and students could participate digitally. And once we have those issues flushed out, we will be able to move forward with those ideas. But in the meantime, teachers will be providing 6 hours of work every single day for every single student. And the goal is to follow the same schedule in terms of the work assignments that we currently have. I would personally like to thank the staff, our teachers, and our front office personnel for ensuring that we were able to still provide an extensive education system for our students. The time period that we are out is approximately 3 weeks. Again, we'll be out from March 16th through April 3rd with the ideal return time of April 6th. I put an asterisk next to that when I met with the staff today because it is dependent upon the science of determining how much exposure there truly is. As of today, Governor Newsom mentioned that there are about 1,200 cases where we've actually done testing. That is not nearly enough, and does not give us a clear picture about the true number of cases or confirmed cases of COVID-19. So please pay attention to emails, please pay attention to bulletins and updates for more information about potential extensions of that closure period. The number one goal of the school system, of the county health department, is to ensure the safety and the health of all students and staff. And that's exactly what we are trying to do. The impact of this closure period is going to have ramifications when students return, meaning that we'll be looking at potential calendar alterations. Currently, we have approximately 5 days of instructional minutes in reserve. Most schools have something like that. We also have spring break, which most likely, and I'm not confirming that today, but I'm telling you there's a chance that we canceling spring break to make up the time so that we do not have to go into the summer and graduate and finish the school year on time. That is the goal, but that is a number of variables that determine how that is rolled out. So those variables include coordination and agreement between us, the County Office of Education, and the California Department of Education. I would also finally like to thank the community of UPA. The outpouring of support from parents and students during this difficult time has made my job extraordinarily easier. Knowing that we have the support of the students and the parents, it makes the decisions that we have to make a lot easier, and knowing that we're doing what's right and what's best for students. I will now take questions from the audience. In the back.
I heard that yesterday at around 3:45 you guys had a meeting here at UPA where the Santa Clara County said that they wouldn't close public schools until there were confirmed cases. What changed?
In the last 24 hours, a lot has changed. If you've been watching the news over the last 3 days, it seems like every news cycle there is a series of new closures. The decision to close is never an easy one, but if we look at what has happened in the last 24 hours, we saw closures at San Francisco Unified, which then caused closures in Alameda County, including Oakland, and then that caused closures in San Mateo County, and then we also saw closures in Santa Cruz County. So basically every county surrounding Santa Clara County went into closures. It's very difficult to be able to close a school or close a county when everyone, or keep a county open while every other county is closed. And I think that was one of the major impacts and the decision for that. Right or wrong, it's a decision made in the best interest of the community. Yes, sir.
How will students without Wi-Fi, computers, or printers be supported?
So, while students and staff will not be on campus, essential services will continue to be provided at the school, meaning that administration and front office staff will continue to be at the campus every single day. If there are students who have needs for internet or computer, they can come on Monday morning and come pick up those materials. We have already ordered extra hotspots through our partnership with Sprint to be able to provide free Wi-Fi access for those families that need it. That is the number one concern, is making sure that every student has the same equal access. Yes, ma'am.
Why did the county choose April 6th as the day to return?
3 weeks is the general guideline right now, and there is, without very clear, I am not a doctor, I am not in the science running any part, I'm running the school. So 3 weeks is considered right now, from what we understand, as a safety period. It usually takes right now, on average, 3 to 5 days for a person to show symptoms. But if they're not showing symptoms in 2 weeks, then they are determined to be clear of having COVID-19. 3 weeks gives us a window. If people are not showing symptoms in that period of time, then they're most likely not going to contract COVID-19. That's usually why that timeline has been put in place, and we've seen that timeline put in place throughout California and throughout the rest of the nation. I think we have a question over here. Yes?
Students taking AP classes are concerned with the upcoming deadline for AP tests. Do you know if that date will be postponed?
I do not have any facts on whether or not the College Board will be postponing, but they are a worldwide organization, and I'm sure that they have to be addressing this issue. That is a number one concern for us in terms of students who are taking AP courses, is making sure that we're communicating with the College Board and letting them know that this decision had been made. I reached out earlier to let them know this was a potential inevitability, and then we hopefully get a response very soon. There are indications that they are moving towards postponing, but I haven't seen anything specifically, and I'm sure they'll be addressing everyone who's taking AP tests very soon. There are also other ramifications around testing, especially for state testing. And we are waiting to hear from the California Department of Education on whether or not they'll be postponing the state assessments. If you're a junior, the state assessment is critical, especially in ELA and math, because those scores get reported to the UC and CSU system as part of the EAP and EMP exams to determine whether or not you are exempt from taking remedial courses in math or English. So those are now very critical tests.
If Santa Clara County hadn't pushed you to shut down the school, what criteria would have brought you to the point where you would have decided to close the school?
As a servant of the public, I have to report to both the County Office of Education and the Health Department. They had outlined that we'd have to have had multiple cases of COVID-19 directly linked to the school site, meaning that staff or students, several cases, had contracted it, and there was a potential situation where through community spread, it would spread very quickly or rapidly. That would be the deciding factor before today, whether or not we would close a school. And that was an agreed upon decision based on what we knew at the time. Any questions over here? Yes, ma'am.
Do you think this was a necessary step for UPA?
Do I think it's a necessary step? I'll answer that question in two ways. One, the students of UPA are why I exist and show up to the building every day. I would not be able to live with myself if we put a student unnecessarily in harm's way. If someone contracted COVID-19 or even brought it home and transmitted it to a family member. That is unforgivable for me personally in terms of how I hold myself accountable. So the decision to close, I am in favor of protecting the health of every student and every family who's part of the UPA community. Do I have misgivings? Yes, and the misgivings are just centered around the academic side. I am in the business of teaching and educating students, and I'm in the business of trying to connect all of our students to their futures. This is a disruption to that, and so there's mixed feelings around that, but I would never hesitate to protect student safety. And that has to sometimes override all other decisions. We've got some questions over here. We'll go right here and here.
Some schools in the area have closed due to COVID-19 cases, but
Yes.
then underwent cleaning processes and soon reopened. During this period of time where UPA is closed, will there be any sort of cleaning process happening in order to eliminate any trace of COVID-19 had there been any case?
Yeah, if they're, the deep cleaning for the next 3 weeks, we're not only looking at a deep clean, but we're also looking at processes. In terms of deep cleaning, every surface on campus that could potentially transmit COVID-19 or a virus of any kind is being deep cleaned through specific measures that are being outlined by the state. We are really lucky by the location that we have and the resources that our landlord has put into ensuring that we have a clean campus every single day. Most schools in the Bay Area do not clean surfaces on a regular basis. Our surfaces, desks, teacher desks, student chairs, teacher chairs, anything that can be cleaned is cleaned on a nightly basis and has been for the last probably 6 weeks. That is not the case in terms of a consistent practice in public schools. So we're lucky in that aspect, and I think a special thanks needs to go out to our custodial team, also to the Aquila for highlighting their work.
There was a rumor going around the school today that a student had actually tested positive for COVID-19, and I just wanted to ask you if this was true or not.
That is false. Yes, ma'am.
Have there been any confirmed cases of coronavirus or of COVID-19?
Confirmed cases of COVID-19 at UPA?
At UPA.
There are no confirmed cases. I did send home a message, I think on Tuesday, that we did have an indirect case of COVID-19, and that was a parent of a student who worked in the same building as someone who had COVID-19. We immediately contacted the county health department. We went through our protocols and determined that the chance and likelihood, based on the timing of when that person contracted COVID-19, was so far removed, and the amount of contact that that parent could have potentially had with the person who contracted COVID-19, and the fact that the parent had not shown up to school, had made that case had made the case that it was determined that it was not an actual chance of COVID-19 from that source coming to the UPA. Yes, sir.
With the time off, what is that going to mean for events like prom and graduation?
Boy, it would break my heart if we had to alter those, but we all have to understand that this is a new era and we have not faced this type of situation before. And it's important, just like I talked before, about having mixed feelings. Everyone in this room and everyone at UPA is going to have mixed feelings because there's the desire of wanting to have those events butting up against the desire to make sure everyone is safe. So that's kind of that conflict between need and want. The decision whether we have those events or not will be based on what is going to ensure the safety and health of our students and our staff. We will not have an event of any kind if we cannot guarantee that we've done everything we possibly could to ensure the safety and health of our students and staff. With that being said, prom and graduation are huge events throughout the entire nation. And I know that we're going to have to be able to sort that out as quickly as possible. And I'm hopeful that by April 3rd, we'll have a clearer understanding of the impact of COVID-19 and be able to ensure some steps. I was happy to hear today that the director of the health department had outlined some really specific strategies for private and public functions of groups of 25 to 50. I think the steps that they had outlined in terms of ensuring health and safety are probably going to become the norm. And so if we do have prom, and I'm putting a giant if out there, underlining it, putting it in bold, and coloring it red, it is if, that we will have a new set of protocols that you'll have to follow through in order to attend that event or other events like that. You have a question here?
During the 3-week hiatus where students and teachers won't be on campus, how will this affect the budget that UPA has? Either like how they will be distributing money here at the school, or how much income or money they will be receiving from the state?
So we have assurances today from the county stating that funding sources will continue as they have. In order for that to occur, they must have had agreement from the California Department of Education and the governor's office to ensure that that continues. Again, coming back to the idea of when you create a state of emergency, it frees up capital to ensure that we are still doing what's right for students, but we're also supporting the staff. And so teachers and front office staff, counselors, administrators will continue to get paid, even though the school is closed, because we do not want to put an undue hardship on families while we don't know when the actual end point would be. All right, I think a question here. Come around this way.
What will happen to the theater department's production of Little Shop of Horrors?
We postponed that, and we're able to work with a company who's helping put on that production. They're providing some of the puppetry. They've been gracious with us and been able to allow us to push that date out. But that's a big question mark. Again, we have to have clearance from the health department and the Office of Education to be able to hold those events. So beyond speculating some ideas in the future, we have to wait for the final information. But at this point, it's been postponed with the hope that we might be able to resume it as soon as we get back from school, from the hiatus. Sorry.
How do you foresee the transition to online school going?
The transition I foresee as being a challenge. I think it's going to require everyone to overcome some obstacles on every angle. As teachers, I was very pleased with the enthusiasm that the staff has approached this challenge. and the willingness to try to provide all resources every day to students, and to be able to do that in a timely fashion. Currently through PowerSchool. They've been emailing each other all day about finding different strategies, how to use Google Classroom in different ways, and there's been some great innovation from this difficult time. In terms of students, there's going to be a high need for students to self-direct their time and energy, and that is a huge challenge. For those students who are prepackaged with the ability to just set goals and accomplish those goals on a regular basis, I would like to be you when I grow up. But for the rest of us who are distracted by the world around us, it's going to be some challenges to be able to limit yourself just to focusing that task. And what we have seen is that students who can set these small little goals and accomplish little tasks at a time will be able to stay up to date. That is required and specific, and students have to be able to do that. The last group are parents. They are not in the business of education, all of them, some of them are, but to be able to provide a structure for a student at home is going to be a challenge, and I've asked teachers, and again, they've been very willing to be able to send as many directions as possible home so that parents can assist. And especially in math or other courses where there might not be the same resources in terms of background knowledge, for teachers to provide reference material or links to get support. That is going to be a challenge for everybody. But I know that we have faced challenges in the past and we will overcome them.
Are there any plans to reschedule the volleyball and track and field seasons?
Currently, the PSAL, which is the league that we belong to, has suspended all sporting activities until the middle of April, and the hope is that by then we'll have more information and be able to resume some activities. The determination about that, again, is based purely on student safety first. Yes, sir.
What kind of precautions does UPA plan on taking once the hiatus ends in April? Will students have to be screened for COVID-19 before returning to campus, or what other precautions would you take?
At this point, in terms of screening, that is going to be coordinated by the health department, and is not something that they will be asking schools to do as of today. Things change radically and change overnight, but at this point, we will be given specific cleanliness directions, of which I am confident we are already at or above. But when students return, we are working with a company called Cintas, and they will be providing some of our sanitation services outside of every classroom, and being able to provide consistent sanitation in terms of like hand sanitizers and all of that in class. We will continue to be providing more lessons and be repeating ourselves quite a bit as adults to ensure that students are washing and drying their hands on a regular basis, not sharing food. The number one way to stop a virus is to have proper hygiene. And that is just, it has to be underscored enough, is that if someone or a group of people are not following those rules, they are increasing the chances of a virus being passed from one person to another. The only silver lining I can see right now in terms of all of these protocols is that we might actually see a reduction in the cold or flu season if we can get into this habit of daily hygiene, using hand sanitizers and not sharing food, etc. Yes, ma'am?
How much time do the teachers have to revise their lesson plans?
They're under a tight timeline today for Monday. Some teachers will probably be working over the weekend, if not all of them. We do have an amazingly dedicated group of teachers. But they will have time every day to adjust and post their lessons. The challenge or concern, I think, for some teachers, and it's a real one, is just making sure that students are not trying to do everything at once. Many teachers have a first period course, and it's repeated second period. And the concern is that second period students will look on Monday and start doing that work and trying to get it all done instead of spacing it out. And it's just really important that students set these time limits and that they accomplish goals in a sequential manner just like they were if they were at school. But teachers will post work every day by 8 a.m. Yes, ma'am.
If a student were to contract COVID-19 over the break, what is the procedure in terms of contacting the school?
So that's an important one. If a family member or a student does, or a parent contracts COVID-19 over the suspension of classes, it is important and imperative that they communicate that directly to me, and I can work with the county health department. At the same time, the first person they need to be calling is their healthcare physician or primary care doctor or service. The number one goal is that they get treatment as quickly as possible and that they either self-quarantine or quarantine based on directions from the county. Notifying the school, we'll take an email, we will take a phone call, I'll take a text message. I've put my cell phone number out there multiple times. It's just important that we know that so that we can ensure that we have the best decision and information when we reopen. All right, we'll go back here, we'll come forward. Yes?
Other than PowerSchool, what platforms are being considered for digital education over this 3-week break?
Teachers have been finding that PowerSchool is actually much more expansive in its options and what it can provide. Beyond that, there are many teachers who will be moving to, if they haven't already, Google Classroom. We have a math teacher currently at this same period of time who is testing out Zoom in his classroom to make an interactive math class. So what I think you're going to see is that teachers are going to find inventive and different varying ways to be able to help their students learn the material. With that being said, teachers were directed on the class page to list directions for students and parents about how to access that information, access that curriculum. Again, because it's going to vary from classroom to classroom, parents, students need to have simple, clear directions on how to move forward with that. Yes, ma'am? We'll come forward.
So how will student activities outside of school, so like going to the malls or hanging out with friends where exposure to COVID-19 is more higher, how will those be regulated?
Well, the first part is we don't have enough information to know, other than population size, as the trends, as influencer transmission rate, especially when we're talking about a community spread disease or virus. The county came out today, the health department came out today, which was social distancing, and that is critical. Yes, students from all over the Bay Area are going to have a lot more free time on their hands. And the desire to go places is going to be high. For your safety and the safety of your school, whether we're talking about UPA or any other school site, it is important that they take those same precautions. Going to a mall, going to large events is not going to slow the virus spread. They have to follow the same precautions. And right now, staying home, staying in your neighborhood is the safest way to ensure that the virus will not spread. It is everybody's responsibility. It's not someone else's responsibility to solve this problem. Everyone has to participate and follow the directions of the health department. All right, we have time for one more question. Yes.
Well, is there any plan in place to reimburse students for costs incurred related to the school closures?
Absolutely. So right now we have a New Orleans trip for our band, and we had an 8th grade DC trip. We're working with those companies right now to get reimbursement. If we can't get reimbursement through them, then we'll find other ways to reimburse the families. Many students have been fundraising and working incredibly hard to make that event happen. So we'll either postpone it if we can, or we'll find ways to reimburse the families if the companies cannot. We have to make families whole. All right, thank you very much for your time, and stay tuned.
We'd like to thank Mr. Porter for his time and for sharing this information with us. To stay updated, you can follow the Aquila on Instagram at UPA_Aquila. I've been Dylan Ziegler. Thank you.